Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Where the haters at? Yeah, bitches still ain't showed up. And now, right, we got HEX, flawless uptime. People thought this was a joke. Now they're mad at the chart. It's Lula. This is Wells only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what HEX has done. Boom. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. Hex-Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. Everybody gets it. Yo, when is it told you? Dollar told you. Everybody done told you. It's crazy. What's going on, fam? Hope everybody's having an outstanding Friday. Figured I'd drop in and give y'all some HEX.LIVE, as it said, given that everything is just looking so, fertile, if you want to call it that. Currently, you can get approximately about 35 HEX, 38 HEX per dollar at the current price. And, these are times that just won't be around for long. So it's something that you might want to take under advisement when you consider the fact that it costs a whole lot more just to get a carton of eggs, right? Or it costs a whole lot more just to get any ridiculous item outside, right? Let's not even talk about food. Let's talk about any other thing that isn't really worth the money that you're paying for, right? Like if you already got a pair of sneakers, do you need another $200 pair of sneakers? No, you don't need that. But that's what it costs, though. Does that make sense? Nope. But that's what's going on, right? And this is what you have to be aware of, because this is how you make that decision. Otherwise, it's really not obvious that you should be making that decision. So, because what's the point then, right? Why are we investing in crypto? What's the point of it? Today I'm going to show you guys exactly what I've been talking about through some charts. I'm just going to code them up real quick because they're really simple. And, I really want you guys to understand the dangers of fiat, because, it's one thing to want to make money. It's another thing to understand why crypto exists. That's really the crux of the entire issue here. Because if crypto didn't exist, we wouldn't need to have this conversation. It wouldn't matter. It would be irrelevant, right? Because we would have a currency, and that would just be that. But that's not the case. We don't have money. We only have a currency, and that's the downside. And these are the things that you have to grasp in order to make the right decisions for yourself, because that's what it's about. Give me 1 second, guys. I need to send something out. And these are like the things that you really need to think about, right? Because sometimes what seems easy because you're being misled. Understanding this problem really isn't as easy as I thought, right? Because to me, in my head, it was a no-brainer. But given the replies and the discussions that we hear, it's obvious that it's just not that simple for people. And these are kinds of the things that you got to pay attention. You got to pay attention to them. You really do. Because that is a sign, right? Anything that doesn't jive with what's sensible, or I don't know, just something that you think would be normal, right? If it doesn't jive with it, then there's a reason for that. Very important to understand, because this is how you make those decisions that save your butt, because you didn't anticipate them even coming to the fore in the first place. And that's really what it's all about. It's about making that decision that is about not being stupid, right? You want to make the least dumb decision. That's ultimately what it boils down to, because it's difficult. It really is. It's difficult to think that, yeah, this is the move long term. You don't really know that. How do you really know that? I mean, the only reason I can say this with any kind of certainty is because I understand all of the parameters of the problem. That's how I can come up with an answer. Otherwise, do you even understand what you're trying to do? And that's a real thing, because just assuming that you know what the future holds is wild. I guarantee all of you watching right now that you didn't think $100 was going to be trash in the future, because it's $100. It's a lot of money. Because if you look at the hourly wages people are earning out here, they're not making $100 that easily. It takes a little while for people to make $100. And then where's that $100 going now? I mean, it's going out the drain. It's going nowhere fast, right? And these are the problems. This is exactly why I title Your Love for Fiat is Dangerous, because it is. People with the most fiat are going to be broke, just like the people with no fiat when the bomb blows up, because it's got to happen. Why doesn't it have? Why isn't it going to happen? I don't understand why people think that people can be broke, there can be no economy, only a small segment of the population can have money, not the rest. I mean, all these things line up for a serious end result. That's not positive, mind you. Because if Kumbaya was ahead, the analysis would be very simple. There would be nothing to just debate. What would the debate be? How many different anecdotes exist for how bullish to be? Like, who cares about that? Like, that's obvious. You just buy and stay long, and that's that. But that's just not the scenario. You have a lot of conflicting information out here. And when you have markets going in one way versus the information that's going in another, that's called a divergence. Now, you got to ask yourself, how long can that divergence persist? Because it can persist for a while. It doesn't have to materialize. The reality of the economic situation doesn't have to materialize right away. It typically doesn't. This is why you had the stock market go up for 12 years straight, or whatever it was, until like 2020, right? That's why that happened, because the flows were such that there was no negative news, no matter how negative it was, right? Because that's how the market really works. It's not based on reality. It's based on the money that's going in and the money that's going out. Pretty simple, right? This is why you can see certain things coming before they appear. Because if you can surmise money's leaving one area, then it's probably going to go to some other area, because that's what happens with money. So these are things that you got to understand: capital flows. You got to understand what moves prices. You got to understand what drives price cycles, right? All these things are important, because this is why a person like myself can say, "Hey, you guys need to be wary of fiat." Fiat is a double-edged sword, and we're unfortunately um, positioned in such a way that we have to damn near do everything in it if we participate, if we're relegated to participating in that economy, right? And that's really what it's about. What if you're participating in that type of economy where you have no choice but to use fiat? Well, you got to understand what the problem is, because it's not cut and dry, right? If it was cut and dry, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You'd have it all figured out, and that would be that. There are layers, there are situations, there's a lot of different elements that go into this problem. This problem is important to understand because it's a serious problem. There's a lot of people walking around not understanding why they can't afford to survive any day anymore. Like, it's 2023. It's not even 2021 anymore. It's not 2022. People are having a hard time surviving out here. You can hear it. You can see it. It's visible. Crime is up in all manners. I mean, this is what happens when the economy corrodes. People got to survive. You think people aren't going to do what they got to do to eat? They will, and they do. It's always been the case. It's not new in the 21st century. This is how we got to, where we're at now. In some cases, right? But these are things you really got to wrap your head around, because there is nobody that's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you should do this. You got to know what to do. Is that cut and dry? There is no in between on that one. You got to know what to do. That's why crypto exists. It doesn't exist so you can go to some centralized exchange, do yada yada, blah blah blah. All that nonsense, as you guys have seen, has been getting people blown the hell up, because that's what that's for. That's why crypto exists. So this notion of crypto not mattering is pretty funny, because crypto is the only thing that matters. Fiat is just on the clock. And that's something that's hard for people to understand, because they think in fiat terms only. So how could they not, think that? I mean, these are people that supposedly understand the financial conundrum and thus invest, but they don't. Because if they did, they would understand that the reason they have to invest is because of rule number one, which is the time value of money. That being $1 today is not worth $1 tomorrow. So why are you not all in crypto, or all in something like that's not the dollar? Because that is the trade per se. I mean, it's a game of, right, when you're investing and then you're looking to allocate capital, it's a process of elimination, right? I mean, you want to find the best thing out there, so you have to eliminate the crap. You got to filter, filter, filter. And these are things that you got to be aware of. This is why sometimes people develop these random strategies where they're not even using the market, looking at the market. They're doing all other kinds of weird stuff. Lunar calendars, whatever. Like, they're just not looking at charts. They're doing anything else, and then they're trading based on that. I mean, that's what people do. Anything to make money. And a lot of people find the craziest, weirdest ways, and it works. That's markets. And this is why you have to understand what you're doing, because nobody else can really determine what makes sense and what doesn't for you. That's not possible. And this is why I always go down this route, right, of explaining and giving you the information so you can understand what it is you got to see, do, yada yada. Because that's how it goes. It's nature of the beast is real simple. Um, So this is why crypto, right? Because if you have this stack of paper that's supposed to represent a medium of value, but it doesn't hold it, then what what is it? Exactly. It's just paper. 1 plus 1 is 2. Real simple, right? But it's just one of those things that people have a hard time wrapping their head around is the lack of utility in what we earn our income in, because it's what we earn our income in. Simple enough, right? I mean, I don't know, you know. To me it's straightforward, the problem, but to most people, they can't wrap their head around not needing fiat and being able to use anything else to transact in, because it's foreign to a lot of people. It's not common, and that's understandable. That's easy to get, but there comes a time where you gotta figure out that that thing you got in your pocket that you call money is not money. You gotta figure that out fast, because time is encroaching on us all. So don't get caught with your pants down, because it's not a good look. I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's already little bank runs happening in America, in some local communities here and there. If you follow me on Twitter, you see me post about it. So, you know, mind your P's and Q's, because it's gonna get real out here. And people thought 2008 was something serious. This next iteration is gonna be real something else, because it's gonna be the complete transition, not just a breakdown. Last time was just a breakdown. This time we're going to experience a complete transition. And I think that this is really lost on people. They don't really understand that. But that is what's going down. Very important to understand, because that is why crypto exists. Now you have these centralized entities trying to get in the mix, because they're realizing they really don't have a choice. You know, that was stated a long time ago. Oof, I dropped the ball here, guys. I actually have a meeting in 10 minutes and I completely forgot. Ah, this is a killer. Anyway, I'll just jump on later. No biggie. Um, the change is happening now. It happens every day. I don't understand how do you not shop? So I'm replying to this question. When can one expect the change? It's already happening. You're not gonna get a warning. The value of what you use, the value of the money that you use every day will continuously decrease, because your cost of living will continuously increase. It's already happening. I mean, I don't know what you're waiting for. Do you not shop outside? Like, everywhere you go, the cost of goods is up every year since you've been born. So this is the point in time when you need to be ready for that permanent change. That permanent change means having some crypto. So don't be waiting. I don't really know what you're waiting for, because you're not going to be able to do everything in one shot. So you might want to hop to it, because these are the things that, I mean, it's not a joke. It's real serious. Let's see. It's up to the chat. Appreciate you guys showing up. I don't know if I'm even have to talk in this meeting, so if I can play it off a little bit, I will. I'm trying not to hop off. But let's go look at these charts real quick. I do have them up and ready to roll. Give me a second here. All right. So this is for last night's crossover. It's a correlation all time. Again, you look at this going across and then down. So if you're looking at the correlation between HEX and a T-share, right, is going to be right here. And that correlation is 1-to-1, which is what we want to see, because the T-share rate always goes up. The dollar value is always going to fluctuate. So as long as we know that the value of the unit of yield is constantly going up, we can be rest assured that anybody trying to attain a unit of yield is going to have to get more hex over time. That's basically how it goes. And this is why we care that the hex to T-share correlation is 1-to-1. And the hex to Ethereum correlation is 0.2, while the hex to BTC correlation is 0.16. And this means that it's slightly positive, meaning that when the market's going down, they're going to go down together. That's what it means. Because humans don't buy stuff together, but they sell stuff together because everybody always wants to get the hell out of Dodge at the same time, right? It's the same. It's the same thing when you see people in the street running. What's the first thing that you want to do? Run right behind them. So this chart is showing us the staked hex as a percentage over here in blue, and the staked hex in nominal count over here in red. We're at 6.6 billion or so, and this is the price of hex in white. If you guys can see, we got a nice divergence building here, bullish one. So that's kind of something you want to be mindful of, because if this does take hold, right, in terms of price action and interest into the system and the network effects and all that, because if so much more people are staking than before, you got to think there's more people in the system, and there is, and we got the data to show that, right? So that means that eventually, once all these sellers dissipate, this is probably going to recalibrate to higher. So something you want to be aware of. As of last night, you can get about 38 hex per dollar, right? And this was with the price at 2.641 cents. I think we're at 2.7 now. We'll take a look in a minute. But this is what's going on. So this is showing that at one point we were, excuse me, even above the 50 mark in terms of how many hex we could get at once, right? And that's when we hit below 2 cents for those few days. So I hope you guys took advantage, because that was juicy. Now we got the T-share rate at 25,627 hex, right? And as discussed earlier, this is why we credit the T-share correlation to hex is 1. Entire history, 1. Meaning over time, price is going to follow this because it has to, right? The question is, what denomination are you going to care about? Because I get paid in hex every day. I don't really care about the dollar denomination value. Some people do. Now, if you understand the actual engineered design of hex, then you kind of grasp what's going to come in this next cycle, right? And this is hard for a lot of people to wrap their head around, because it sounds like hocus pocus, but they'll see and they'll figure it out. So no need to beat a dead horse. Last night's payout was 6.304 hex, with an approximate T-share price of $677. And again, what I want you to notice about this line is that it never really goes below a certain level, and it only rises over time, right? If I went back to the start and it wasn't just the past couple hundred days, I mean, it would be the same thing. Just a line that is doing this over time. This is the average payout per T-share. And basically all of them are around 6.2, 6.35, because that's kind of what that's where we're heading to now, right? As you guys can see, we go up with emergency end stakes and we recalibrate lower to level out, then go up again, level out, up again, level out, up again, level out. And this is just a pattern. And right now we're leveling out before we go up again. So I guess, eventually we're going to hit 6.5, and then 6.75, and then 7, right? Because that seems to be kind of the path of what we're doing here. So it works, it works well. So let's see. Total payout for one T-share since inception is at 5,837 hex. Nothing to scoff at for doing a whole lot of just chilling and letting the market figure out what store of value is, because the market has to figure that out. Right now, you just have a whole bunch of nonsense speculation going on. And this is what causes a lot of ridiculousness in the market. Current holders were at 67,389 since day 655. Right, this is from the start of the bear market through the day. So we continue to grow over here. Staker count also continues to grow to the tune of 58,696. Same time frame during the bear market. The stakers that are no longer with us has been pretty stagnant lately. They're not leaving as much as they were. Still at 32,760 something. However, the current staker count continues to grow. We're about to bust through 118,000. Actual minted inflation continues to creep higher, of course, because that's the point. And this is not annualized, mind you. This is just the aggregate inflation since big payday to now. And the one thing I want to point out is that given that it's been 2 total years, we should be at 7.38%, but we are about 20% below that at 5.97. So that's pretty critical to understand there. If you want to grasp value, you might want to take that into under advisement and analyze that little anecdote there. Cumulative change in total T-shares since big payday. We are at negative 500,000, basically 543,775.2 T-shares. And, you know, this is pretty much why the T-share rate continuously goes higher. Or, I'm sorry, the HEX payout goes higher over time because it recalibrates to this, right? Because it's all the HEX that the system puts out in terms of inflationary rewards on a daily basis divided by the T-share count. And if there's less T-shares in the system, then there's more of a HEX payout per T-share. And if you hold that T-share, well, you're going to get paid more. Here we got the average stake length at 6.505 years. You know, this has really been a proliferation of a lot of short 10-digit stakes, basically. 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, stuff like that. But lately, we've been seeing an increase in stakes of the same size, 10-digit, 8-digit stakes. I'm sorry, 8, 9-digit stakes going in for 200 days, 600 days, stuff like that. So this is what's increased the average stake length there. Cost of a T-share, a little new chart I did up here. What this is showing us is the pink is the max length chart. So if you're staking for 10 years or more, this is the cost basically, right? You're going to take that price of $676 and divide it by 3 because that's what it's going to end up being in HEX terms. So that's what you get in dollar terms. And what I did to for this 2,777 days is I divided it by 2 because that would give you the halfway point of 7.5 years, right? And then that number would be somewhere around 350 or 25 or something like that. And then you have of course, the 676 priced T-share, which is the regular T-share cost. Here we have the ROI and how it works. Important to remember that it's basically like a battery, right, with a capacity of 100. The less people in the system, the more juice you get, basically, right? And right now we're right around a little bit above 10%, and this is what's reduced the yield a little bit. But given the EESs, we see an increase, right, above 36.9%. Now, guys, give me a second. I need to dial into this call. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to play one of the songs, the Everybody Told You remix. Give me a second. Right? The reality is that I want to be rich as fuck. There's only one way to be rich as fuck. That's by sitting on your ass the longest. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's the secret. The guy well told you. Richard done told you. I done told you. Kareem done told you. Maddie done told you. Everybody done told you. Everybody done told you. Shit, motherfuckers still acting like they don't know. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
100% safe. There's plenty of games left.
Valiant done told you. Yo, everybody said it. Man, hey, you know what it is, man? Everybody done told you. Y'all's deep. Everybody. My God. HEX Asians, bro. Everybody. Australians, man. whales only. Glad you guys can make it out. I'm making some claims that are pretty outlandish, but I can back them up. Boom. End of story. There is no other crypto out there, so don't get it twisted. If you don't understand where you're parking your money, you're gonna pay the consequences for that, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. Boom. We're obliterating everybody, literally. There is nobody else that comes close to what Hex has done. Boom. Oh, it's about to get funky. Funkier than you could have ever imagined. You know, Richard Hart is a boss. Hex is literally the best thing on the planet. It's simple mathematics. Sorry guys, but this is gonna be a while. So I think it'd be best if I just end it here and restart in a little bit if I can. I just throw out a new link and all that. I'm really sorry, but this is just gonna take longer than a couple minutes, and I can't just blow it off, unfortunately. So I'll be back. Catch you guys later. Peace.